Whilst I am eating, we're going to go over a couple of videos. Well, not a couple, but we're going to go over some videos. And maybe we'll have a little discussion as to what is real and what is not. Let's enjoy, shall we? Alright, that's enough of that video.
Alternative medicine that claims disease can be diagnosed and treated with a kind of energy similar to radio waves. The concept behind radionics originated in the early 1900s with Albert Abrams.
Radionics? You can't even pronounce it right. I mean, I may not be for this stuff, but at least give him the courtesy to fucking pronounce it right. It's called radionics.
1864 to 1924, who became a millionaire by leasing radionic machines which he designed himself. Radionics contradicts some principles of physics and biology and, as such, is widely considered pseudoscientific. The United States Food and Drug Administration does not recognize any legitimate medical uses for radionic devices. According to radionics practitioners, a healthy person will have certain energy frequencies moving through their body that define health, while an unhealthy person will exhibit other, different energy frequencies that define disorders. Radionic devices purport to diagnose and heal by applying appropriate frequencies to balance the discordant frequencies of sickness. Radionics uses frequency not in its standard meaning, but to describe an imputed energy type, which does not correspond to any property of energy in the scientific sense. In one form of radionics popularized by Abrams, some blood on a bit of filter paper is attached to a device Abrams called a dynamizer, which is attached by wires to a string of other devices and then to the forehead of a healthy volunteer, facing west in a dim light. By tapping on his abdomen and searching for areas of dullness, disease in the donor of the blood is diagnosed by proxy. Handwriting analysis is also used to diagnose disease under this scheme. Having done this, though a power cord may be provided, ostensibly to determine a base rate on which the device operates to attempt to heal a subject. Typically, little attempt is made to define or describe what, if anything, is flowing along the wires and being measured. Energy in the physical sense, that is, energy that can be sensed and measured, is viewed as subordinate to intent and creative action.
That did make a hell of a lot of sense.
Welcome to this video quantum conversation. We are definitely going in the quantum realm with my guest today, who has been researching and creating new earth products that are actually tensor rings. So let's welcome back Brian Besco to Quantum Conversations. Brian, welcome. It's so good to see you again.
Thank you, Loren. Yes, it's good to be back with you again.
Yes, that first video we did in Boulder, Colorado, that was really fun. Actually, the first video we did was at Contact in the Desert. And now, you know, look, we're wearing sweaters and we've got colder temperatures than when we were in the desert. But a lot has changed for you, and your business has evolved in tremendous ways. And we're going to talk all about that. Before we get there to those updates, let's first talk about your work with tensor fields. You work with tensor rings, and this is an ancient technology really being revived on our planet.
That's correct. Now, the tensor rings, they create that tensor field, and it's the fields that we are working with. So the tensor rings in general, where they create these fields, is based on sacred measures that create these rings that create those fields out of copper. We've learned that they're more about the consciousness. So as our consciousness grows and expands, so does our understanding with these different fields. And so we've learned to construct these tensor rings out of the physical, but the true power and potency of the tensor rings lies within the tensor fields. So the tensor fields is where we create the etheric aspect of the tool, and then that is anchored into the physical through these sacred measurements. So again, as we're expanding and growing, we're able to create more on this higher dimensional plane, which then gets anchored here into the physical. So basically, it's just a way for people to have an easier access to that higher consciousness realm without having to do as much work. We're just trying to make things simple and easy for everybody to access.
Really, truly, you are working with our multidimensionality, right? We are multidimensional, and the products that you work is really connecting us to our higher self.
That's correct. So, you know, when you go to any energy healer,
we're just gonna
divine awareness to that condensed light, it expands. So kind of the same concept that we're doing with any energy, whether it is dark, dense consciousness energy.
Charge water. I did this with my dog for years. So this is beautiful. We could even just use a word, perfect health, vibrant health. Maybe even, you said taking the ring and putting it over the glass, or your glass in the ring. What about like a larger 5-gallon jug of water? Could you put it on, so say if you get bottled water, you know, in a 5-gallon jug, or even on your water filter, those would work too as well, right?
Yes, you know, you can put this around, you know, water that passes through it, and it'll clear the memory from it. But to take the
okay, well, let's just hang up. Let's back up a bit. What the fuck? What's this here? A 177 megahertz tensor field. That's getting up into cancer frequencies. What's all this? Yeah, not... Okay, see? The author of this video is not responsible for personal injury caused by the improper use of tools, blah 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 blah. If you can't use soldering equipment, you're basically messed. Alright. We're not going to listen to all this music. They're just doing a little design here. Oh, wait a minute. What's he doing here? Oh, he's taking... What the... That's all he's doing is twisting copper wire and making a ring out of it. Well, let's hope that that end right there gets filed, because that's very hazardous to your health. We should get cut on it. Oh, did I miss something? Those are BBs. Some various crystals. It looks like a tiger eye in there. And this stuff is supposed to heal you. And people buy into this. Now, there are energies. I don't disclaim that, because I haven't really studied them or explored them or whatever, but Twisted Edge Studios.
Such as wearing the ring, keeping it in your pocket, etc. It does not work well for creating any spheres or coils. Some of the tools that we'll need today.
That looked like a pretty good sphere.
Torch, notch off, because we would like this.
Oh, he's spot welding it. A tensor ring. Well, first of all, I might agree with the idea of this. However, the wires that are twisted together are physically connected to each other. Now, if they were not physically connected to each other and enameled, that would induce a capacitance. And a capacitance and an inductance has a resonant frequency. Now, that might be something worth talking about.
A bit of practice to get the
tensor rings.
Oh God,
there's a short and easy meditation here called the Trinity Breath. It's also known as the Earth-Sky meditation.
Never heard of such a thing.
And then you can
don't buy into it.
From the end, they'll always be a helpful and beneficial and working tool. Now then, again, we hold.
And these are all different people. I gotta eat my food before it gets cold. Now, that's where the energy is. In your food. I should eat.
We've created a room temperature superconducting device with a tensor field, or...
Now, is that the same guy that was at the other... Slim Sterling? Is that the same guy here?
Welcome to this video quantum conversation. We are definitely going in.
This is Brian Besco. Well, who is this guy? Who invented this?
Energy field here in the center.
In center. This guy's from Texas.
The rings are a discovery we made in 1991.
We?
And we found that when we join the ends of a piece of wire together, preferably it's been twisted so we don't have a positive and a negative side. With the twist we have only positive energy coming from the ring. And this may pick up on the camera to show the tensor field in the center of the ring, which is the active part. And what
Where I don't, all I see is his shirt.
Can't show on video is the fact that there's a beam of energy comes from the ring. The
what kind of energy?
So-called sacred or royal cubit is taken from the pyramid, and that's the measurement of the perimeter of the boss. Little projecting stone, just 72.1 inches above the floor.
0.1 inches.
Of the king's chamber. And the cubit length is used throughout the measurement, throughout the entire pyramid. It's a standard unit like, but in resonance, it's actually a shorter wavelength of a higher frequency.
What I found really amazing about the tools like the large light rings is that they act as much as a healing instrument as a diagnosis instrument, because when you lower the ring over somebody's auric field. Some
people are very more susceptible to hypnotic suggestion than others.
Actually, it's like with dowsing rods, they act very subtly to change.
Look at this guy smiling. Oh, who's this guy? Somebody new?
Or an energy that's really stuck, the ring just stops dead in its tracks. That's pretty amazing. Most of the people who come and who say they can't sense energy or don't have any affinity with it, they still feel the ring stopping there and they feel the change.
No, tell them to close their eyes and have somebody put that over their head. They'll never even know it's there.
On his heart chakra, and as I placed my hands on top of it, I asked for him to be filled with love and light. And
brother, what's this here? More music. God. The Happy Herb Company. Here's somebody else building them. Gee, look at all these people building these. Oh, look, this one's got a different form of twist in there. This one's got a double twist. I wonder how much the double twist one is. Now, I'm being honest here. Okay, we're just talking about electrical stuff, and look, it doesn't search. Oh, looks like they took that off their list. Crap. Now let's take a look at some more radionic stuff here.
Find out what came in first and caused the problem, the original core problem. 100 years ago, Dr. Raudive made a machine that worked on a similar principle but used photons of light and also used sound waves. He was curing people of cancer and of tuberculosis, which was
well, my wife's gone.
Radionics is a machine
it didn't help her.
that uses photons of light and sound waves. And this machine was originally created by Dr. Broward over 80 years ago. He was a Canadian doctor, and he was looking at the same idea as Dr. Hahnemann and Dr. Raudive. Let's find the core issue of somebody's problem and deal with that and get people healthy. So now you know the history of radionics. Let me show you how it all works.
Yes, please enlighten me.
So it's like a cell phone, a TV, or a radio. It sends out information and it receives information. And different dials on here have different frequencies. So it uses an aerial that the hair goes on. And the hair will touch this part of the aerial.
The aerial's an antenna.
Then another aerial comes into the machine and I move my hand on this. So I get a reaction of yes or no. The hair, which should be in a paper envelope, at least that much is required. It can be permed, it can be dyed, as long as it actually comes off of your body. And it doesn't matter where you are on the planet.
I got some of my ex-girlfriend's hair.
North America. You can be in the Antarctic. This part touches your hair.
Yeah, you already said that. I thought, okay, let's get to the point.
Start the machine.
Yeah, let's start it up. Let's do the smoke test.
With the radionics process, we begin by having the person's hair in the envelope, and then we put the code on the bottom row. So we start with the bottom row for the human number.
Oh my god, look at all the dials and knobs. That's not a very ergonomically made piece of equipment.
Dr. Broward and Wayne Hudson and Dr. Nora spent decades honing the numbers.
Honing the numbers?
And if you're a man, it's that number. If you're a woman, it's that number. What makes the difference is that the person's hair picks up the information from their body and tells them
I cannot watch this anymore.
Easier on their body because this is
I'm
like
sorry,
a
honey, but I cannot watch that. I can't. I'm gonna fucking lose it. Wait a minute. There was another video there somewhere. I'm sorry, but that just does not work for me. Oh, here's the radionics fact fiction. Oh, there's this guy here. I've heard him on here before. He's a debunker.
Made up my mind as far as what my personal feelings are about it. But we're calling the broadcast Radionics Fact and Fiction.
See, he says radionics. At least he's pronouncing it
like a bit
right.
of a contradiction, and to a degree it is, because a lot of things about radionics does appear to be a fiction, but at the same time...
Hey, wait a minute. Wait. Hold on for it. Where's that lady? Yeah, right here. Okay. We'll just get her into the mix here.
Radionics is an...
What'd you say? Radionics?
Made up my mind as far as what my personal feelings are about it. But we're calling the broadcast Radionics...
Radionics? Wait, what?
Alternative medicine that claims disease can be diagnosed and treated with a kind of energy similar to radio waves. The concept behind radionics are...
Radionics? I don't think so.
Fact and fiction. Now that may seem like a bit of a contradiction, and to a degree it is, because a lot of things about radionics does appear to be a fiction, but at the same time it works, so that makes a kind of a state of cognitive dissonance in people when they believe what they believe, but then find that things operate differently than what they believe. So we're going to do a little bit of paradigm shattering today, and I'm sure you remember about the term paradigm, which means a border or a box that outlines
as my
what
mother
is
said,
valid on the inside and everything outside.
If you don't have anything nice to say about any presenter, then don't say it. I never said anything derogatory. Please have respect for our elders. Yeah, you better have respect in me, because I've been around. This man has a lot to say that is definitely worth listening to. He is from a different generation, and we as youngsters must develop our patience since we are so accustomed and addicted to being wired into our multitasking world. Too long-winded. Hung on till 27 minutes and lost interest. This video needs 3 jiggly girlies in thongs dancing behind the long-winded guy. Here we go. Here's another one.
The RAD 2400 HD is one of the most popular devices.
Oh, it is? I've never heard of it.
Because of its
when was this broadcasted?
You can run it either together with
10 years ago?
Program, or you can run it by itself. I show now the main functions when you run it by itself and how you can use it. The device has 2 radionic settings, one for the target of the operation. The first 3 dials connect with the
holy shit!
Here you can put,
pardon my French.
And
look at the price on this thing. $1,800 used? Are you serious? People buy into this?
Success strategies.
Oh my god, I should go into the radionics business.
So you set you write it down, or you can put a symbol there, reflecting this effect. Here I have just written down.
I like that piece of copper right there.
And so you have the well and the two wells. Where you
equivalent of hundreds of orgonite pyramids.
Linkage. Now to solidify that connection, you use the radionic dials.
See, he says radionic. Of course it's radionic.
Two ways.
This is a powerful orgone generator. So radionics is built around orgone. So if that's the case, let's just pause this for a minute here. Superorgonite, and with a strong electromagnetic field, it has an adjustable Hertz frequency. This equipment is a highly sought after device that is known for the ability to convert negative energy into positive energy and balance the spiritual, emotional, and physical body. Blah, 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 blah. Well, Wilhelm Reich is the guy who talked about orgone energy and that sort of thing. There is some good information about it. It's an energy. It's something that I've been trying to quantify, but I haven't really started yet. And maybe some of my experiments will actually bring some of that information to bear. I don't know. I'm just going to that real quick here. And in fact, this guy actually lived in Maine. He built the Cloudbusters. I mean, he attracted UFOs. Supposedly, a lot of his information was taken by the government. He was arrested. You know? I mean, the guy had something to say, for sure. And orgone, people are building all these orgone little pyramids and everything. Down here it says this guy is selling this product. And then he comes down here and says this disclaimer. The turning signal in your car produces a scalar wave, blah, blah, blah. And scalar is defined as represented by a position on a scale or a line, having only magnitude. While there are many forms of energy, an unknown scalar is not what many people online attribute it to be, blah, 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 blah. Further, to truly block EMFs, your cell phone would not work. You would have to use a Faraday cage. As we consistently make very clear, these devices are experimental technology only and are not intended to treat, cure, or diagnose any disease whatsoever. Any claims of healing are false. Well, that's what this person is saying. So he's just getting himself out there to say, oh, I bought this, so he can't be turned around and sued and say, this thing didn't do anything for me. I want my money back. Oh, there's some other ones here of the same design but a smaller unit. Oh my God. $900. He melted this copper and he's got this aluminum stuff on here. And these pretty little dials. These dials are cheap too, by the way. Those are cheap plastic dials. I got dials that are worth $10. Wow. Let's just go into this thing here.
It is basically a tool for ideomotor movement that tells you when you feel it different, it tells you to stop. For instance, you turn a dial while you are moving your finger in a circular motion, and whenever it feels different, right near it hops. That's the correct setting. You can learn that with relative ease. Then go to the next dial, then to the third, here, okay. And then you can fine-tune it by going with the same procedure again, and just go a little bit forward and back till you get that feeling
I'm going to choke
it
her in a minute laughing. He's got his picture on there.
So, As far as radionic settings are concerned, this is a traditional way. Of course, there are rate books available. You can as well write your own. And a radionic setting like this simply solidifies the structural link between your machine and the person whom you want to help. And
are you seriously kidding me?
With a patch cable, a wire, and you have a box or something where you have structural links to a person or to a specific effect that you want to have. Maybe you put a perfume into it or something like this. Probably the person who is involved in radionics knows what I'm talking about here. And
well, it should have been resonant. And one day he was doing this with a man who had cancer, only slightly, but he had cancer. And by some strange coincidence, he turned the man round. Nobody knows why, it's one of those things that just happened. And he found that when this man was facing east-west, he got one reaction. When he was facing north-south, it was normal. And having a very quick and inquisitive mind, he said, well, this is unusual. Now, why is it? And he found that in the course of experiments, he did many experiments, he found that in percussing round the navel, at one point he got the cancer reaction, but the patient had to face north-south or east-west to get the two reactions. He then went on to experiment with tuberculosis, syphilis and one or two other illnesses, and he found that there were different parts around the navel where he got these reactions for different complaints. Then he had an idea. He would get hold of a very healthy young man who he had as a cleaner in his office, and he attached a plate to this boy's forehead and a wire, and at the end of the wire he attached a sample, shall we say, of the cancer, and he got the same reaction through the plate, through the boy as the instrument, and he got the same reaction on the patient. And that is the way it began to find that he could diagnose people at a distance. He then went on to do that, taking the lead through the wall or through the door.
Well, if you got the same reaction, that means it doesn't work.
And he put a sample into the...
I must be missing something here.
If they need information about diet that I couldn't give them, well, then I send them to the appropriate...
Okay, picking back up on, so Delaware's device, 1950, he had picked up the other lady's work.
Yeah, Delaware learned from Roosterhound. Radionics became banned in this country. Delaware, working in England, wasn't interfered with by the psychopaths or the government. So he had an open field. It grew into a large...
Wait. Hold for it. Oh, what's this here? Oh, he's coming up with numbers. He's devising numbers to associate with a certain item. Well, what the hell? True believers can't build the machines themselves. Crystal-topped copper rods. by the 1960s, the use of radionics machines were banned and declared illegal in the USA. That was in the 1960s. I don't know if they're still banned now. I mean, seriously, I have no idea. I'm trying to get this thing. It says it is illegal to market radionics as a health saver thing. You cannot market it as anything to do with healing, health healing, medical therapy. Only confined to oneself and one's family. Oh, anyway, so that's that discussion. I want to see what this one is here.
Hi, I'd like to talk to you about these copper tubes. But before I do that, I just want to tell you a little bit how I got to this point.
He looks like a product from the 1960s. Oh, he's got that ring there.
Pyramids.
He's got the tensor ring.
Chemtrail busters. About the same diameter. I can feel it, and if I do that, I can feel.
So he's got what? He's got a bunch of crystals in there.
Or you can push in good energy with this, and it seems to work both ways. And the missus is. And the initial one that the Slim Sperling discovered was the unit of measurement that they built the Great Pyramid with, and so you can use
cubit.
Fractions of the length. The length is 20.6 inches. This is, I'm not sure, I think this is a quarter. Anyway, so what I did was, I thought, well, I got my tube with the orgonite in. I'm going to cut it to one of the fractions of the cubit and see what happens. So as it turned out, I've been having aches and pains, and or if you'd like to try it and let me know what your findings are.
The sacred cubit.
Welcome to New Realities. My name is Alan Steinfeld, and each week I like to bring people to the show who are pushing the envelope of what we can know, how we think, and how this transformation in consciousness is occurring. And it's occurring on all levels, in health, science, spirituality is evolving itself, and we're coming to a new understanding of who we are as human beings, as energetic human beings.
We have, I don't know, we have several thousand of these units on both coasts, a few up the middle of the country, quite a few in Europe, a very few in South America, some in Mexico. I have some bigger units that I've sent out to areas where there's unrest, I think, is probably the gentlest term to use.
Like where there's wars and...
Wars, etc. Yeah. Larger units cover larger areas.
And is it affecting the consciousness of the people there as well as the environment?
We have seen in where we can get statistics from the cities, the installation of one of these units will reduce the crime.
Here I would like to talk about the lost cubit measurement. And the lost cubit measurement was found by one of Slim's and our good scientist friend, Hans Becker. And Hans was doing the math. He was looking at the 19 available meter links And he said at that time they didn't have just 19, they had 20. So where's the 20th measurement? And so Hans found the missing measurement, the lost cubit.
Ah, the lost cubit.
And if you have two rings that are about the same size.
He found the lost cubit.
The smaller one.
She says,
sacred.
Hans found the lost cubit. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see if he found the lost cubit. Discovered by Hans Becker and Slim Sperling. Maybe he seems to have discovered something. 144 megahertz happens to be the low end of the amateur radar 2 meter band. I can transmit legally on that frequency. The lost qubit. Oh, that's the sacred qubit. Then we have the lost qubit. Then we have the empowerment qubit. Oh, God. What about the... what else we got here? I wanted to look at some other stuff. What's this?
I make a booster disc for radionics. I don't have it right here, but I'll mean
holographic plates that you're referring to, and I've also seen the ones that have technologies built into them that are electronic and have motherboards and stuff like that. I've seen ones also made with shoe boxes and have those specific holographic plates. And then go ahead. You can say
well,
something.
I mean, basically, so there's a field of holistic healing called radionics, right? And like many things.
Okay, see, he said holistic healing. Now, healing is an umbrella word. Anything that falls under healing is healing. He is now saying that radionics is a holistic healing device. Now look what they've got. They got a crystal. They got this radionics thing that's supposed to amplify all of this stuff. Why do we need all of this? This is I don't know what's going on here.
This was actually developed in America, but because
wasn't it Wilhelm Reich or Wilhelm? Yeah.
It was
Wilhelm. He's going to talk about Abrams. Wilhelm Reich is the one that discovered the orgone energy.
Abrams. He was a doctor, but this is an overlap with Reich. But basically, he was a medical doctor, and they were doing muscle testing with patients. But then they found that the patient didn't even have to be there. You just needed a holographic sample, such as like a drop of blood on a paper, and they could test that sample because that's a holographic piece of you. And then when they use a radionics board or so forth, they can tune the rates to, send healing energies and so forth. But the thing is that although you can get good results from a radionics device, you don't need a device, because the trend starts from here. It starts with a thought, right? And people say, well, how is that possible? Well, actually, you're doing it every day. This is the power of
why do we need a
manifestation, but most
radionics
people,
device?
their minds are so
We have
chaotic that
mediums
they're
that talk to
manifesting
spirits.
negative
Why
trends,
do we need electronic equipment?
So it starts with as little as a thought. And then after that, it could be like writing it on a piece of paper, or you can use certain boosting symbols, a diagram on a piece of paper, right? Then the next level up from that would be maybe a paper machine. It's actually, it sounds crazy, but drawing a diagram of a machine, maybe with even paper dials. Some of the Indian Vedic system, they have a copper tracing plate with sacred geometry, right? And then the top level would be actually having a board with some scalar coils in there and running a current through here, right? So it actually, people ask me, well, how quickly or why should I buy your booster disc, right? And I say, well, I can't give you a discrete time because you are a part of the process. So some people, they may get 5 times quicker, but you may only get 2 times quicker, because that's the thing that people don't understand. When you're dealing with a holographic layer, I consider this part of like a meditation. It's not like a treasure box or something like that. It's part of a meditation, right? So I can send healing energies.
Welcome, this is Masaki from Akaida.com, and today we're going to answer some questions that have come in through the YouTube comments and also through the website. You could use it for testing tensor rings, all kinds of tools. So that's a good test to use. You can also, some people use pendulum dowsing, and the faster and wider the pendulum swings, the stronger the energy tool. So those are some ways. If you're trying to test a pyramid with a standard EMF meter and seeing if it's blocking the signals, you're not going to get anything. But I can tell you that over hundreds of pyramids that I've sent out, apparently the placebo effect is very strong, because the most common feedback I get is better sleep, okay? And then people tend to have more dreams and so forth. So all I can tell you is, you know, just like I've described it here and on many shows, is that when you're dealing...
Bingo, I love this job.
Burying one or several of them near the tower. But they work very well in our homes to transmute the...
We're talking about orgone.
Are you ready for the weather wars? Let's enter the buzzsaw.
Little trail behind the plane, that's just jet exhaust. When it sticks and spreads from horizon to horizon, spreads out and covers the sky, that is not normal condensation. That is matter being placed in the atmosphere. Those are metal nanoparticulates, and they're used in weather modification. There are other purposes for them, which we'll find, but primarily we see that they're being used to change the weather, and they're being...
All right, we're getting off topic here.
Just another crazy and eccentric video from Nick with all the strange and wonderful things that goes on inside his head. You know, I've had this quartz dowsing pendulum for a long period of time now, and for some reason there's something about this time in my life when I'm really getting back to exploring the fun of manifestation type experiences. This is like the same as what people were talking. A number system for this. Yes or no? If the answer is no, then can I?
So he's talking about the pyramid. I mean, pendulum dowsing. I mean, I've had some experience. Oh, the Carl Hans scam. What's this?
See, this is a simple charger, like the one on the video you sent me. See the lecture. This is another simple charger, which does the same thing that the fabulous
It's measuring
Argonite of Carl Hans was.
And electromagnetic energy off the...
So if you want something like that,
the power
you can just
supply.
use your laptop charger and does the same thing. I can keep up adding it and will be lowering it down. But with EMF, like in this, you can use it like this, unpowered, and goes up. I'm not touching.
I don't know what that was all about. Category comedy. Could you give me some context so this video isn't a confusing waste of 1 minute? Let's read. I want to look at this one here. Where is it?
Welcome back to the program. This here is Patriot Green Med Spiritual Awakening Radio. I'm your host,
Radionics
Bill
raised its
Bigsby.
ugly head again.
Patriot,
this time with a goofy
visionary,
guy claiming to heal people with
legendary radio
photographs.
host. Today we're going to be talking all about the secrets of the universe, you know, the things that they don't want you to know. So, let's take our first caller. Caller, you're on the line.
Yes, I was wondering if you could maybe speak a little bit about alternative forms of energy.
All right, yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. You
That's
see,
obviously a
most
fake
people don't
caller.
understand this, but
Nobody's
they have been
calling
trying
him.
to keep us from actually having free energy to be dispersed throughout the world. This is all about just trying to control people.
This guy's just
this is
trying to do
usually
an
the
entertainment thing.
Illuminati controlling the oil or
I mean,
natural gas.
there are some people that don't have much to do with their life except for just get on there and, well, I'm not going to say the particular words, but I mean in the sense of, I don't know, just finding weird things, strange things to do.
Processes, that sort of thing.
To 2 Tesla coils. These 2 Tesla coils propagate, broadcast scalar energy.
And it's overall energy healing. Energy healing, right? But it all comes smaller fluorescent lights. You can make it blink on and off. There's nothing exciting about this. That doesn't prove scalar energy. It proves electricity.
Or the necessary energy to break apart to bring to a state of chaos hepatitis C.
So your your machine scans a photo. I don't know how. I'm having some trouble figuring out how exactly it scans anything, but it takes the pathogen, it breaks it down, it flips it and reverses it.
Is it worth it? Let me work it. I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it.
Or something, and then shoots the woo 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 energy beam into your body, and it makes it just turn into chaos and explode. That sounds awful. That sounds terrible. What the shit?
Immunodeficiency virus.
Uh-huh.
And if you had HIV infection, I simply would...
Hold up. Why don't you know how to use a stapler? What is this? What? How? Call me crazy. And maybe this is just
I think
me.
you might be.
A little sketchy. And also, one of the things that really put up a big red flag for me was, at first, I had some trouble finding out how much his pricing was, because the ones that were getting thrown out there, the 15daytrial.com websites, were not actually talking about how much the actual cost would be. But I did find it, and I'm going to show it to you. You see, over on scalarlight.com, your standard scalar session, this is a 30-day treatment. 1 month treatment is $175. Oh yeah, $175 for 30 sessions, a session a day for 30 days. What a deal. And what's really fascinating too is one of his marketing techniques is to be like, well, this costs less than a Starbucks latte a day. That's not cheap. That's expensive. Who the hell is spending $175 a month on Starbucks? Are you for real? But you see, it's not actually just standard scalar. He's also got addiction chemical cleanse, endorphin neurotransmitter, fat metabolism therapy, female hormone therapy, male hormone therapy, natural foods therapy. This guy is fully under the...
Therapy has to do with healing, and so he's marketing, whatever this guy's marketing is illegal.
Belief that by using his radionics machine, his woo-woo, I don't understand what Tesla was about, and I can manipulate things on a molecular level with photographs and Tesla coils, can not only blast apart pathogens and disease, but he can actually beam nutrients and hormones into your body. All for the low price of $175. Thing is too, I have to accept the fact that anybody who's dumb enough to fall for this kind of a thing could probably fall for a lot of other really bad things. The only thing I can do is hopefully show and share with you how completely bogus this is, how there is nothing behind it. There's no weight, there's no credence, no nothing. And so that hopefully if you find one of your friends being like, well, I'm gonna go get healed for my herpes with the scalar energy, that maybe you could talk them out of it. Because I don't think that they're gonna watch my video objectively. They'll just be like, oh, he's a hater. He's part. What's going on, everybody? Jeff Holiday here, and today I've got a special treat for you. And you're gonna notice in this video, I'm gonna be using some very careful language. I'm gonna avoid making too many declarations of possible wrongdoing. I'm gonna skirt around them a little bit. Why? And largely this is because of what I'll reveal at the end. Important soon, very soon. But
what it's very important for us to do, and the reason that we're having more success than the chemotherapy oncologists, is we're not giving cancer an opportunity to detour. We're not giving it an opportunity to escape down one of its usual pathways.
Cancer can escape down its usual pathways. Well, I was pretty sure when cancer takes hold in the body and starts to grow, it grows from there. It's not like it can flee. Cancer doesn't have legs or little tendrils where it can crawl through your body. And that doesn't make any sense.
But we're surrounding it on all sides, all the ways, the multifaceted ways in which it attacks the body. We're addressing all those simultaneously. So cancer has nowhere to run. You know, it has nowhere to mutate to.
That's kind of a mushmouth idea. Not really saying anything when you say things like that. But okay, I'll break it down. She likes to use IVs, and we'll deal with the IV situation here in just a minute as well. But let's first get an idea of kind of how she operates. So this lady up next, she had cancer and she contacted Dr. Huber. Just listen to this.
So they said, please just talk to this doctor, this naturopath in Arizona. You can just do a consult over the phone. It was, I don't know whether it was $150 or $300.
Oh my God.
You don't know if it was $150 or $300. Really? That's fascinating. And if there's one thing that I've noticed, a lot of these like cancer success stories that you always see in these videos, they always look like people who have a lot of money. People who are like, oh, $150, $300 to talk to some person on the phone? Sure, I got that.
She'll talk to you an hour, and just, what could it hurt? You know, you have to wait to have the surgery anyway. They're not going to start the radiation till after your surgery. Just talk to her.
What could it hurt? $150 to $300. That's how much it could hurt. What are you talking about? Okay, so much like all the other, in the future, half of all children are going to be autistic. She's also a regular on damn near every single pseudoscience quack bullshit goddamn documentary on the planet. She's a very, very much favorite of mine, and she's a lunatic and an idiot, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. But by all means, you go ahead and you cite what she has to say. What does good old Stephanie have to say?
Exists for the purpose, perhaps, of converting excess glucose that the body cannot tolerate to lactic acid. It's a machine that does that function. It does it inefficiently, and unfortunately, that machine really interferes with the machinery of the rest of the body.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm trying to find answers for surviving cancer, I first ask a computer programmer, and then I ask a naturopath. Yeah.
Anyway, it's just getting really off the beaten path. Psionics meeting in Wisconsin? This was 3 months ago. What's this all about?
I will travel around the world. I think I'm going to magnificent glow. Could this be something?
I don't know what that's all about. Stein wishing machine, $100 hand beamer, $100 hand resonator, $100 handheld vampire box. How do these people get away with this crap?
Hello, 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 my loyal customaniacs. I know it's been a
Comments
while
are disabled.
since I've done one of these. It's been a very busy few months. First, I came down with the cold from hell. And I had to get rid of the cold from hell. Smartest man in the world. Ideas just get all jumbled together, and
this looks exactly like that $1,800 unit, or something similar. That's
anyway.
That's a radionics device, but that ain't that $1,800 unit one.
What are you going to send at the avatar of your target? Now, before I get into that detail. When a person picks an avatar for themselves on a social media site, they pick. Now we have the basic rate. One more. It's called the attenuator, and that sort of puts the whole thing together. Good.
What the hell is this guy? There's the helmet with the knobs. This was 6 months ago. Is this guy blind? Oh my god. Charles Casimano, Master of Mind Control and Psionics. Psionic Alpha Flying Helmet, $200. Portable Radionic Box, $225. A Chakra Box, a Tepaphone, a Pragmaton, an Equalizer. He wrote this stuff. God. That picture was taken by Voyager, and he's used it in his stuff. He doesn't have the rights for that. Not a bunch of BS. Well, he doesn't have a life. Some people don't have a life, so, you know. Affordable handmade radionics. Why am I getting to radionics? Psionic combat. How somebody can make war on entire countries.
Hello.
That's the same
Hello,
guy. Are you shitting me?
Be that as that may, and style actually has a magnet under it. And we will set that till it feels right. And that being done, the country being even on our site, we shall throw the switch, and it shall stop it.
He's speaking like a fucking German. Do the switch.
We shall throw the switch, and it shall stop it.
He's even laughing about it.
Back to me, which is where it should be. Okay. Let's play with this. I'm not used to using the camera in that spot, so it's kind of, a little lopsided, but...
Well, I had to let's check out his little radionics box.
Basically, your 3 tuning dials. I get to work this back. You've got a color wheel, something this well made, and it is extremely well made. I wish I had a better camcorder instead of this webcam. I could show just how well made this is. First thing you would want to do, since you're sending it to their head, you would send it to their brow chakra. Okay.
Oh God, I can't take it anymore. Do not buy into these devices, people.
Welcome. This is Masaki from Akaida.com.
Alright, there's another scam right there. These fucking... I'm sorry, but these pyramids do not need power. So why he's got this thing plugged in?
AYE Tech FG085. It's very simple, but when I was looking around, I felt that this was the cheapest good signal generator that you could get to use with a powered pyramid. So you can see it's very simple. You have some chipboards here held together by screws. I actually like putting those silicone bumper feet that you can find at the hardware store on the back, so when you put it on a surface, it won't slide around, right? Waveform, sine wave, right? That's like your normal brain wave. Here, square wave, that's like a pulse, right? You have a triangle. This would be sawtooth and reverse sawtooth. So you have a variety of waveforms. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to end it out by showing you what this pyramid looks like when it's running in the dark, so you can see what the color LED looks like. So check it out.
Wow.
And hope you enjoy it.
Like that's supposed to impress me. Merry Christmas. A new ornament for my tree. How to build a radionics machine.
Long time no see, everybody.
Good, I thought it was a girl.
This is Sam Shat. Weld bond Gorilla Glue. But it's always good to remember. It's really up to you. I'm using this small metal can because I personally think it looks better and
that's a sardine
samples
can.
better. It's just my opinion. But if you don't want to do that, you can
What
also
the hell's the electronics?
split it at both ends. Go ahead and have it split at both ends so you can connect it there. So attach the input to the can wire and we'll go from there. Okay, so you're going to want to connect, we obviously connected the 3 potentiometers. We still need to connect our attenuator. We'll get to that in a moment. But we connected our 3 potentiometers up top, and now what we need to do is we need to connect this potentiometer
cut that
to the wire leading up to the
a lot of exposed wiring. It should be all
and
shielded.
the stick pad wire is also going to connect to our output wire. So what we're going to do with the output is you need to get some radio wire and you need to split it at both ends.
They don't provide you with a wire?
Go ahead and have it split at both ends. So we're just putting the final touches on this and your machine will be ready to use. Okay, so I have made a connection between the can and the stick pad here. Obviously that was my only missing connection, and you can see where I've duct taped up the other connections that I've made. So everything's nice and secure. And over here, I took my coil and I duct taped it down with the little part sticking straight up. So this is sort of kind of like what I did for the stick pad and the can on the outside earlier in the beginning. But here I duct taped it on the bottom, sticking straight up. And what we're going to need next is you're going to want to take an amplifying pattern. As you can see, I already cut mine out. And you're going to want to put this over that, puncture a hole through it, and glue it down. And you're also going to want another piece of radio wire with both ends split. And I will show you what to do with that next. Alright, so as you can see, I took the split wire, and what I did was I wrapped it over and over and over again around this middle wire, attaching
that's your scalar antenna idea up there.
Plate, and
I don't know what all these other spiral patterns are.
To our little coil, and once again I wrapped it over and over and over again against the copper wire, and it leaves low cost price of just the bare essential tools, and anybody can do this. This is not difficult to build.
Oh
and
my
now you
God.
have a very powerful
my A double. That was a year ago. Michael Aquino, Shadow Zone, Occult Interview. I wonder what that is. Build a symbiotic hermanominus. Paying respect to Charles Carzamano. What's that video all about? Because that's the guy we just watched. Paying respect? What did he do? Die?
Hello, this is
Hi guys, this is Sam Shadow again. I just finished making my radionics video, and I felt like this little tiny tidbit was important, because I forgot this and I felt like a total jerk and a dumbass. I want to say, for everybody to hear, that everything I have learned about radionics and psionics was from Charles Casimano, and there are a lot of people out there that steal his ideas and do not give him credit for it. And shame on you, fuck you, for stealing this man's awesome ideas and claiming them as your own. And I know he didn't invent radionics. I know radionics has been around much, much longer than Charles Casimano. But I see a lot of his specific ideas and things that he's talked about. What I explained to you tonight with the flashlight and Solomonic seals is from one of his books that I read. And I'm going to give you a link to his YouTube channel, a link to his personal website, and a link to his ebook.
Well, I guess we know some information about him.
Exclusive interview. And tonight's interview is brought to you by
Original priesthood of the church. Everybody understood it as a premise and agreed to. Well, here's kind of the way that worked out. They were trying to fit at that time. This is the British Golden Dawn again that sort of brought this notion up. And before that, it was MacGregor Mather's work on something called a French volume called The Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage, which is something that he translated from the museums and libraries in Paris and took back and instituted into the Golden Dawn. The idea was that the Holy Guardian Angel was kind of your just that, a sort of a higher self that you get in touch with that would, through ritual, that would then tell you how to operate your life, sort of like the fairy godmother, in Cinderella. And it was, yes, it was a way of sort of appealing to your higher consciousness. But I wrote it, and I've gotten a lot of good reactions.
All right, let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. I want to look at now this is the work that we're sort of working with, but this is a little bit more in tune with the things that I'm doing. Now, like if you look at this picture, well, let's look at this video. How come it looks smaller? Now,
what am I doing with my life?
What?
I would be unstoppable. I did post the schematics I found on various radionics forums and incorporated their feedback to make sure that these designs are accepted as genuine radionic devices. So let's build both an electric and a passive one. The battery-powered radionics machine is going to use an amplifier similar to the one that I built for the EVP receiver. And the passive one is going to use what's called an orgone amplifier. Now, what is an orgone amplifier? It's a piece of orgonite with copper wire wrapped around it. So, what's orgonite? For the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna tell you that it's nothing. It's bullshit. But I do have a video on it coming up.
I don't know what that is all about. Orgonite and the idea of orgone and the accumulator is built on the idea of alternating layers of insulation, glass, wool insulation, and forms of metal like copper, aluminum, whatever. A good half a dozen, and you can line those with that's one of the, you line your boxes or pyramids or stuff with it. The orgone pyramids that they come out with are a mixture of crystals and cut up pieces of aluminum, copper, and so on, depending on chakra colors and crystals, chakra crystals, and all that stuff they put in there. And they make it in this plexiglass type of format for a pyramid, assuming that it sends out energy and that sort of thing. The orgone energy itself supposedly was discovered in soil. You take some fresh soil and you freeze it, and then when you bring it out and look at it under a microscope, you see these blue life force. That's the orgone force that Wilhelm Reich supposedly discovered. When he says it's bullshit, well, that may or may not be true. The fact is that orgonite is well, orgonite probably came out of the orgone accumulator idea. And whether these people got it right, got it wrong, I'm just indifferent to the whole thing. All I'm saying is that it is a material. It's not BS. Whether it's a real workable material, that remains to be discovered. And here it is, almost 2020. Seriously. Now that looks like very much like a radionics machine. He's built his own radionics machine there.
Now that I have wasted all that time and money.
Well, wait just a minute, back this baby up.
For the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna tell you that it's nothing. It's bullshit. But I do have a video on it coming up.
Well, if it's BS, why is he working on it? So he's got a bunch of potentiometers. He's got wired, very poorly wired wires around some pretty large quartz crystals. All it is a bunch of potentiometers. The job looks pretty good. he's got a switch here that switches. He's got the hot wax glue. Wires are all over the place. They're not neatly lined up. He's got a capacitor here across each of the 3 potentiometers. Probably 1 microfarad or something. In fact, we could probably do a diagram of this. I know exactly how this is built. I can tell just by looking at it. I know exactly how this is built. Let's freaking build it. Let's do this. Let's put these people to shame, because that's where they need to be put. Alright, so he's got, we'll use yellow. Let's see, let's bring this up. I don't know if I can... Wait, I'm looking at videos. Let's look at that right there. Alright, so for all intents and purposes, we've got 2 crystals. We could do we'll color them blue. They were about right here. We have 3 potentiometers. There's a capacitor across each one. And most likely they're all the same value. They look exactly the same. They're the same size, so I know they're the same value. If you look at this diagram, the coil around, there's a coil around each of these large crystal. So it could go like, let's see here. I could even do, could I paint that in blue? Crystals. And of course, I made a little boo-boo there. I can probably move that. Select. Edit. Cut. Edit. Paste. Quartz crystals. We just put them there. And go back to our here, fill that in. Alright, so we've got, what we have is, okay, that wire is connected to all of the other end pieces. There's a wire there that's connected. So it goes to there, and over to the other side on that one. Wait, is that right? There. Okay, so let's go there. So we have a wire. We'll run this. We'll copy this as orange. just run this like a bus wire type of thing. We have that connection. There's a jack here. There's two jacks on the end. I don't know what those jacks are for. I don't know what these wires. There's a switch here, presumably to turn the unit on and off. That looks like it's in parallel with that jack. There's a jack there. There's the jack. I'll use that same colored wire, and that runs parallel to that potentiometer there. Let me just double check that. Okay, looks good. Let's run it this way. And there's one there, I believe, right? Yep. There's one jack. Now, there's a device down here. I don't know exactly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make another section of this video. Alright, so he's got, if we flip this over, he's got 3 switches. Those look like possibly push button switches, I don't know. Looks like there's 3 switches in the middle. Now that's not the same box. It's got 3 switches there. However, if you notice, there's a switch between the 2 pads. There's these 3 potentiometers and 3 switches under each one of these. So that's not the same box. That's a different. This is a different box of some sort. But we'll just keep going here. All right, that's the solid. We'll do this solid gray. There's one over there. The black is probably ground. The black is probably a ground, which means that's a floating ground, which also means that's probably not very good. I only see one other wire going over to there. So I've got... We probably have... that. And that. These are usually have 3 things on them. I don't know if this is going to be a ground wire or not. But I do know there's a ground wire. There's a wire that goes from that end over to here. So that probably goes over there. there's another crystal here, and I can't see. I think there's a wire that's coming from underneath here. And it might be going to that one. No, that doesn't make any sense. See, the way these got this crystal, well, it looks like this crystal wire is going from this side over here to this side, then across, and then from that side, assumingly probably over to, I can't really see it, but I think it maybe it connects to the middle, the center. Why he has, okay, the potentiometer is not even being used. So there's problem number one right there. It's not even connected correctly. Wait just a minute. That wire from the crystal is going to the center. I can't tell where these are going. This one might be to the end, and that one could be to the center. And that one must be going to the end, because I can't see where else it would connect to. There's a yellow wire that connects up there. I'm guessing it's a cross on this one. So we'll use orange. I'm guessing that's a center tap. I can barely see that wire right there. And this one probably goes to, see I don't know where these wires are attached to. They could be attached to the ends, which wouldn't make any sense. It would make sense to have see, this part here is connected to the end. It would make sense to have this attached to the center tap. That's where I would put it. Where is this one going to go? Down here? It's on the end. It wraps underneath. That's strange. I don't know. I would say to the center tab. That's my guess. And then this one, I can't tell where it goes. It looks like one of them goes over there. I don't know, there's another crystal that does something. God only knows where it goes.
But I do have a video.
Okay, so he's got, oh, he's got That's an audio amplifier. Wait, is that what he said that was? It's 9 volts going up to a switch. And it goes to there. It connects to the audio amplifier. And the yellow wire connects to something up there. The blue and red are audio output. This is an input. That yellow wire is an input.
Tell you that. Coming up. It's nothing. It's bullshit. But I do have a video on it coming up.
Oh, this is a different box. See, here he's got, they're attached over there. This looks like an upgraded version. There's a center tab going to a switch. And I don't know what the hell that's doing there. That's a good view of it right there. It's another view. It's a different box. So that yellow wire comes over to there. That's the wire that's over here, yellow. This is an audio amplifier. The blue and the red. Now he's got that soldered to the quartz crystal and to the output. What the hell? Are you serious? Why would he even do that? That's crazy. And the other one, the red wire goes to a switch, which goes to the battery. And he's got a red wire to a switch down there or something. Oh, you know what? That could be an input for a generator. Jeez, I didn't close it, did I? Okay, this could be a generator input. Let's see. Now the metal parts, I don't know where the metal... Oh, I know what this is. That's attached to the metal. So one side is ground. And the generator input, it looks like it goes attached to that piece of metal. Somehow, it's copper. Probably. That's strange. then probably over there it's copper or something. I don't freaking know. Seriously. He's got 2 boxes. And that's another thing there.
Now that I have wasted all the...
The switch. Oh, he's got another antenna up there. Oh, he's got the quartz. That crystal quartz is sticking out. Or he's got another piece of quartz sticking out. Huh? Oh, he lights it up with the LED. Oh, God. Can't do this anymore. Oh, they're both copper.
Now that I have wasted all the... And finally, I tape this nail clipping to the piece of paper. This is called subjective feedback. And at this point, we stop turning the knob. This knob is now set. And now we do the same thing for the rest of the knobs.
You could have just used your whiskers.
The machine is now set. Now we will put this in a quiet place and let it do its job. I'm going to give this 2 weeks, which sounds like an ample amount of time to at least give me a cent or two.
That's disgusting.
Holla holla get dollar. This is also said to be able to copy substances, mainly homeopathic remedies, of course. So for the second test, let's...
On the table. Now let's say Sarah Smith is the person you want to send healing to. Put it...
Did you ask her if she wanted healing? That's number 1. Did you get their permission? Number 2, it's not a healing device. It's illegal to be selling that stuff as a healing device.
Okay. It still hurts. But the pain is starting to get bearable.
From thousands of years ago. This is a very, very ancient technology.
Oh, they got more knobs.
So let's say, for example, we have a guy named Joe.
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta back up here.
Gently rub it with relaxed fingers. And now add just the tiniest bit of pressure. And your fingers will appear to stick.
Radionics is based on the idea that everything in the universe, every concept, every combination of circumstances has its own sort of frequency.
It was redeveloped in 1913 by Dr. Abrams, who actually redeveloped Atlantean technology from thousands of years ago. This is a very, very ancient technology, transmission of energies and frequencies.
So let's say, for example, we have a guy named Joe. And Joe has lost his job and he doesn't have any money. Now the next thing we have to do is find
the God, I gotta put my name on there and
Joe
ask it for the win the megabucks. Don't give yourself a headache trying to figure this shit out. Yeah, have a beer. Or drink the whole bottle.
I'm not even gonna bother with all the talk about frequencies. It's just too vague. And I don't even know where to begin unless they provide more information.
He's got Godzilla poster up there. King of the Monsters. Oh, there's a schematic diagram. Advanced 3-dial tuning circuit 2010 modified by Joseph Max. 3-dial device 2011. Let's see how close I was. So he's got one line. One of the lines is connected to the metal plate, which is connected to the ground of the speaker jack. That's your ground line. Now that stick bad coil should not be grounded. That should be floating, but he's got it grounded. So one line is all over there. It's connected to, both plates are connected, and they're supposedly a ground line, but there's no ground. There's an input jack and an output jack. So that's this line here, this orange line. Where's the audio amp? The audio amp's not in that one. Alright, one end is to the center tap, the other end is to the end. Center tap, I got it on the center tap. Oh, maybe this one is supposed to be on the center tap. So what I needed to do is let's change this color to green. Cross that line. This goes to the end. And cross that. And this goes to the center tab. And so that one probably goes to the third one, probably goes, so that's center tap. The third potentiometer goes to the end, and the third crystal goes to the center tap. This other crystal, I screwed this up somehow. That connects to, I got this all botched up now. But anyway, I'll keep the diagram. I mean, it's part of my video. I could just stop the video and show it. How come? Yeah. I mean, I could do that, I suppose. If we wanted to build such a device. I've got crystals. Now, as a matter of fact, I have selenite crystals that are huge. This would work really good with selenite crystals. I just got an orgone amp. Oh, I guess the orgone crystal was sticking up out of the top with the LED lighting it up. I don't know about that stick pad coil. That's copper. Just get that wired to the copper. This would be an interesting little fun project to build, just to mess around with it.
That transmit said frequencies, as well as the parts that read them. Or what about in this one? Or in this one that read them. Or what about in this one?
Berkanapath.com. Input plate. It doesn't tell you what the value of those resistors are. Oh! Let me see. So I think it's 10K. Yeah, those are 10K pots. Oh, we answered that question. They're all 10K pots. I'm so good.
One. Or in this one. Exactly. They're not there. Just because you believe that something should do something doesn't mean that it actually does that thing. Customer service? Yeah, hi. I bought this laptop from you and it doesn't play my cassette tapes. Now, I know it doesn't have a tape deck, but I really believe that it does. So, is it broken? Effect on the outside world. They are essentially just empty boxes with knobs and plates. Even the ones that are powered with electricity are in essence empty boxes, since the circuits aren't designed to do anything beyond giving the user the idea that it does something. Let's take a quick break and appreciate these fancy banana dowsers, as well as this painting submitted by me. And yes, you can, with your mind, get that job you want, if you educate it and become a pleasant person, instead of turning knobs and rubbing plates. It's not just silly though, it's actually quite dangerous. During my research, people were asking if you could use this as a treatment for cancer and other actual diseases. And people said, yes, you can do that. If some dude wants to treat his fatal illness with radionics, fine, you've earned it, buddy. But when this becomes a substitute for vaccines, you're affecting all of us. My child has the mumps, but I really wish she didn't. I'm just going to shoehorn this banana into the frame, and then I'm going to read this speech that I prepared for the people who preach this crap, and to the people who sell these devices for hundreds of dollars.
I like this guy. I might follow this guy. 10,000 subscribers.
Fuck you.
Oh god. I can't believe this guy actually soldered all this stuff just to try to prove a point that it doesn't work. I mean, oh, he got me to watch his video, but now my question is, though, look, debunked. Nothing's really debunked. He's just Hawking chalks the world. Uh-oh.
There has been a new breakthrough. Many decades of scientific research have finally culminated in what appears to be a new paradigm shift. I have concluded that it is time to change my name from Hawking to Hawkwind.
Why do these people, I mean, what is he even spending time talking about this stuff? Look at all these videos. I look at ghost hunting. ITC, I look at ghost hunting. Raspberry Pi phone home arcade, well that's something real. Does the obelisk work? Super fast vegan noodles. Alien abduction caught on tape. Let's see what this is.
Kaffe.
That's a Commodore. Was that a Commodore?
Kaffe.
That's a Commodore computer. And the tape deck next to it. When was this printed? 2013? Oh my god, this guy's way in the freaking dark ages.
Game Boy Color, Pocket or Original. Need on eBay for cheaper than a coffee. And if you find the coffee cheaper
his
than this,
connector's off kilter over there.
You'll also need a fillet. Är det som låter? De tog Jonas!
Part of that movie. Oh my god, that's just a waste of my time. I don't know, I'm just kind of bored. I want to look something up though. Alright, anyway, like this, well, this picture, let's look at this. I want to see if there's anything in here. Watch this for a minute. Alright, you see these? Alright, here's a good example. Let's look at this picture. Now, what you see is a picture of a face. Now, obviously it could be faked, okay? There's always that chance that it could be faked, it could be a hoax. However, there's something else in this picture that I want you to understand. I want you to understand what else is in the picture. If you were to zoom in on this picture, you would not see this face. You would only see the little particles. But if you look back, if you bring the picture back, zoom out, you see the face. And what you also are seeing is noise and information. There is information, which is the face, and there is noise, which is all of this other stuff that you've got the light pixels and the dark pixels, and they come together to create information. So that's how instrumental transcommunication and EVPs, all that stuff came about, is the idea of these energies manipulating noise to send information. So if we look at it in that light, we have an idea of how to start our process of electronically, physically proving firsthand to see if we can collect information that's real. The person that's taking these pictures might think it's very real because they're a collection of some of my New York ITC from 2012. These are the best energies I brought to this date using different methods while in a communication session. So there are intentions. You know, you have to sort of believe, but the problem with that is you could also be creating these effects yourself. They're not necessarily being manipulated by energies from other entities. They could be just this person's reflection in the mirror. It's all, if it's all face pictures, see? It's the same picture reflected in the mirror. And, you know, it's the same, it's a face. So they could just be, this could be all a hoax, you know? And they're just manipulating those pictures, trying to make some kind of a name for themselves. There are some people that make these claims, and, you know, they might be real, they might not.
This is Michael Hobart Edwards, author of the book Speaking to the Dead with Radios, available at Amazon.com.
He's selling something.
Today I'm going to be showing you a special process that I learned from a really good friend and an amazing woman. Her name is Margaret Downey of ITCDeadPeople.com. Margaret developed a process called water instrumental transcommunication.
No, she didn't develop it. Okay, there are many other people that are aware of this. I don't know if she developed it, but there's people in many different countries using this idea to come up with the faces.
She taught me how to do this. I've even gotten images of my own father, who died. Animal spirits here today.
Oh my God. I'll tell you. Oh, shit, now I lost it here. Alright, see this box over here? So now he's using the ghost box, the Advanced Frank ghost box, which that might be an original one, it looks like. And the ghost box thing, I don't even want to get into it. It's up and down sweeping of frequencies rapidly, and the spirits are supposed to use that energy and make random words come out. That's got to be the worst freaking... I mean, let's look at this here. Actually, I could go to YouTube and ghost box. Well, actually, let's make it hoax. 3 times science debunked the paranormal. The app that claims to reach the dead. Oh, now it's on an app. James Randi's still alive. He'll give you $1 million if you can prove anything. How it actually works and how to fake sessions.
Hey, what's up guys? So a couple of months ago I made a video where I essentially faked a EVP recording using my voice as source material, some static recorded off a radio, and then a plugin called Futzbox, if I believe. And I got some very strongly worded emails because of that since then, from people that have had their, I guess, worldview questioned. And I kind of wanted to explore more of the, I guess, ghost hunting tactics and how they are easily faked a bit more. Alright, so that should be okay. I don't want to blast your ears or mine. Alright, so there's a lot of static in there. So we're going to use a gate, which is essentially the first part of the processing. So what happens is it goes from a radio or sound source or an app, and it runs into a guitar pedal, which is, as far as I believe, a gate and a noise suppressor. So what that does is that it's basically to quiet your guitar. So when you're not playing anything on your guitar, the gate is closed, no volume goes through. But when the gate, when the volume goes beyond a certain amplitude, the gate will open and sound will go through. So that's basically what happens when the radio or the app is scanning through whatever. And there's videos of them using police scanners as well as source material. But we'll get into that in a sec. So we have the gate on here. It's gonna get the threshold right. And we're going to just get the release a little bit. Alright. Alright, so we're gonna get that going. Okay.
Did you notice that in that video?
So the next part.
Did you notice in that video when he was playing, another woman came across and said, I don't know, in exactly the same format? So they grabbed that voice and they re-edited it and put it back in there.
There's some noise suppression. This is done usually in post, I believe, but it is a technique. And what noise does is it has like this profile of static, and when you're recording like a bass guitar or something DI, you get some static, and you use something called X noise to get rid of that static. There are more advanced ones called Z noise, which is a completely other video, which you can record a different profile. You can extract a different profile by learning, and then you can extract it and then apply a different noise profile to something else. And what that does is that creates some really interesting kind of artifacts to the audio, which can trigger some pareidolia. And pareidolia is like how our brains work. We're constantly searching for that lion in the bushes. But for simplicity, we'll just use X noise. Bring the threshold up. Right, so you got rid of the noise, and we're altering the audio. There's some artifacts happening, and you can click this little button here, and we can hear just the static. Right, and what I'm inadvertently doing is I'm altering the audio so you can't really pinpoint where the source has come from. This is from To Catch a Predator, which is like my new weird kind of obsession. Makes me just, the whole Chris Hansen thing is beyond hilarious. So anyway, just a little bit of noise reduction, which is what the guitar pedal does. This is a software version of it, kind of an industry standard, been around for a while. X noise by Waves, can have high resolution, low resolution. So that's a good little snippet that we can use to. We ask the spirit or whatever a question. The spirit can respond to, I don't know, or whatever. There's other things you can do to the audio as well that are pretty interesting. So let's add, I guess.
Why would people want to waste their time putting stuff like this together?
So, Mr. Huff.
Just to hoax.
Okay,
to make a hoax EVP recording. Why would they want to do that? This makes no sense.
So I'm gonna drop in, I guess, the Stomp 4 stereo. So Mr. Huff on his machine, he has a reverb pedal, kind of like this one. And I've always wondered, like, why have the reverb pedal? Well, it makes it sound a bit more compelling. I guess it's something about reverb spatially that our ears pick up on. And his reason, and I'm not making this up, and this is interesting, from his own video. Now with Reverb active, which should allow the spirits to come through as they use it to manipulate and change the source audio. So the spirits actually use the reverb to, you know, to come through, whatever that means, to come through. So the reverb, in my opinion, is basically to put the sound in a space and make it seem a bit more compelling, and you'll see that right away. So there's a couple. There's so many different freaking guitar pedals. You can experiment with them, and for those that don't know how production works, you look at a spirit box, you're like, holy crap. But if you kind of know, you're like, okay, so what you're doing is you are taking a radio scanning quickly through frequencies that goes into a gate, into a noise reduction, and then into a reverb effect, and then into out through the amplifier speaker. But you know, it looks impressive if you don't know what's going on. So back to my story. There's so many different kinds of reverb. Mr. Huff doesn't get into the spirit's preferred reverb. If I was a spirit, I think I would prefer plate reverb. There's plate reverb, there's spring reverb, there's a lot of different kinds of reverb. So you know, if you want to talk to me when I die, just get a plate reverb and we're good to go. So this is the reverb, this is what it sounds like. So you can be like, hey, what day is it? And you're like, and there's different kind of effects that you can do there as well. There's
I want to
also
go back here on this
in some of this video, I can't really see because human speech, obviously. So we're going to use a gate. That's thing. So what happens is, as far as when the volume will open, and then in a, and we're going to just get the release a little bit. All right.
See right there when that woman said, I don't know?
Get that going. Release a little bit. Alright.
That's it's funny. She said, I don't know.
Get that going.
But anyway, this is just talking about
Sure.
how to manipulate sounds, that sort of thing. We have to get into all that
total
crap.
tally or something. I don't know, you can just make something up.
ECDeadPeople.com. Now, the video editing software that I use to go through these water instrumental transcommunication images is called VideoPad Video
I never had
Editor
good luck with that
Professional.
program.
It's a freeware program that was introduced to me by a friend of mine. Also,
It doesn't work as well as some of the others.
Person,
I wouldn't use it. Movie Maker works just as okay, but there's some other stuff in here. But I want to talk about the noise aspect. I should really do that. God, it's 12 o'clock.
Dear Transcommunication friends, now I publish as ebook on Amazon.
Oh, anyway, I don't know. I think I'm just about done with this. It's just there's this. What is this? That's a. I remember that video. It's not of any use. Sarah Estep and Klaus Schreiber, EVP and video. What is ITC? Spirit Help. Images using light and water and smell transcribing social anhedonia. What is this? Social anhedonia. What the frick does that mean? This is a song. That's basically what we're doing. We're doing what's called instrumental transcommunication. But we're actually doing electronics work. There's some cool cloud shapes. Here's a good one here. Alright, so we don't need the freaking noise. Okay, so again, you see all kinds of noise in the background, and there are images. It looks like people standing there. Oh, you know what's really interesting? If I scan through it quicker, you can see the shape of what looks like a boy and a girl. Now, there's a website, okay? I want to show you this. This is where I got back into this some years ago. And it's called worlditc.org. It is a source of all your information that you need. Some of this stuff I think has been hoaxed. I mean, if you look at that picture there of this lady, it looks like all it is just the cameras moving. Now, there's this section here called Researchers' Results, and a fellow by the name of Erland Babcock. Well, I had the pleasure of meeting this fellow, and me and my past wife went to go visit him, and I managed to come back with some of his equipment, as well as some information about what he was doing. He was using a laser setup with a speaker setup, and I wanted this stuff. I wanted this laser equipment, but of course I never got it. I guess supposedly his son got it and is doing something with it, but I haven't heard anything, so I don't know. But that's a really high-powered laser. He's got a beam splitter. He was doing stuff with. We'll go down to the picture. I'll show you. There's another picture there. He's got laser going through a tube with a coil around it. He's got some tuning devices, you know, adjustments for tuning possibly. That's what it looks like at night. Now there's, let's see here. There's a speaker. The light was supposed to go into a speaker. And after he did this experiment, this is what the picture looks like. So you got the laser coming through, beam splitter. The original beam goes to the tape recorder, and the informational beam goes to the speaker through a microscope objective, gets magnified, goes to the speaker. That goes to a micro generator of something, and that goes to the tape recorder. So now here's the reason why you split the beam. You split the beam because you are canceling the noise of the beam itself, and what you have left is the information that's riding on the beam, on the second beam. That's the information that gets sent to the tape recorder, and supposedly he sent me his original tape, and the original, well, the sound of the tape recording is, he's got that on here somewhere. And there's another picture here. This guy's making spinning a dish of some sort. Supposedly it was a type of scalar antenna. Project St. Peter. I got that scope in the middle. That thing's old. Generator, filtering equipment up there. There's another generator. Tesla coil audio frequency generator, high voltage, built by Hans Heckman. There's a speaker. Oh, that's a fan to keep it cool. High voltage. I want to build something like this. I want to build this. I want to build a high voltage device because it talks about where the Ark of the Covenant was supposedly a device to speak to God, or an electrical device, or it was used as a carrier to carry radioactive material, and they just opened the box and it would kill people, and with the radioactivity and everything. I think that's what it was mainly used for, as a killing device to get people, to make people sick. But the cherubim on the top, where the angel wings come together almost at a point, could be an idea where the radioactive energy inside the case would create a special type of an arc, and that's why they called it the Ark of the Covenant, because of the arc that it made. It's possible that that arc was doing something. It was sending out cosmic rays. That radiator, the radiation device inside, the box would be acting like a big, humongous capacitor, and it would discharge through those cherubim, causing all kinds of lightning and shit to go everywhere, killing people. Can I play this? I might be able to play this. There's some video images that he took with his camera. I've got this original tape. I got one of them. So I'm just here. I'm telling you that there is information out there. This is the leading information. It's kind of old and outdated right now. But now there's another site that's not in existence anymore, but it's where I got most of my start years ago. It might be off of this site. I don't know. Let's see. What's new? There's work groups. Decency. Books. Skeptics. Realists. More information. Box. More about World ITC. Events. Guest book entries. What's new? See, this is old. 2010. That's almost 10 years ago. All this stuff here. I want to be on that list of researchers. I think this Victor Zamet guy was not real. I mean, I think he was a hoaxer. I don't know. aeevp@aol.com. I don't know about that address. aeevp is a okay site. Books. Website link. Attached communication. Victor Zamet. Alexander McCrae. There's the skull experiment. That's quite a story. The afterlife investigations. Crystal links. Oh, they've got her link on here. RTC Bridge, there's the one I was looking for. That site's no longer active. It was when I was there. Macy Afterlife is another one. What's this one here? Pierre Princeton Engineering. That site is no longer active. Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research. I don't think they're active anymore. Charles Tart. And that information's not there.
November 28, 1995.
For 20 years, U.S. intelligence agencies have been experimenting with ESP.
I'm a statistician, and when I look at the data, I have to say that there's something there.
It may have helped locate American hostages in Iran.
There were 2 or 3 others that were held away from the embassy, and no one seemed to know exactly where that was. But we were instructed.
2 experts commissioned by the CIA report disagree. First, there's psychologist Ray Hyman from the University of Oregon.
My considered judgment, if someone pushed me hard right now, I have to say the odds are 99 to 1 that there's nothing to remote viewing.
I think remote viewing has been demonstrated over the 20 years of work that's been sponsored by the government.
Jessica?
5-mile-an-hour speed limit, the nationwide impact on Good Morning America tomorrow on this ABC station. And that's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News.
Did it get cut out?
That I agree with everything I've just heard. In the future application, I don't think we're yet ready. There's too much data that tells us something is there. You can't dismiss that. Whether or not we're ready yet to do something with it, I'm not sure the focal point needs to be within the intelligence community. There are too many restrictions involved with that. It needs to be out in the open somewhere and let the intelligence community monitor the results. And then if they have a desperate case from time to time and a proven psychic that has a good track record, then you want to make use of it. But I would also emphasize one of the ground rules in our case, we never acted on any information that was not confirmed from other sources.
Dr. May?
Well, I would agree with Norm on that. These kinds of research problems are best studied in the open. So I would ask the intelligence community to watch what we do for the next few years.
fmpr.org. This site doesn't look too active. I spelled it wrong. No. Where's this at? Palo Alto? That's California. Nancy Trivolato, filmmaker Raudive will present his video of Federico Fagan and Nancy Trivolato in conversation. Nancy exposed for conscious self. I've seen her videos. Nancy Trivolato. She's just doing some new videos on astral travel. That's very recent. Oh, from comedians to cars, filmed interview. But oh, she's actually going to be there. She's from a different country. That was only a few days ago. What else? Let me see something here. Who's this guy? That was a year ago, 9 months ago. A year ago, 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago.
One, and so I did that. He couldn't possibly fly. He violated every law of physics that known to men. And but then I found the same guy. It was an older guy, probably was 18, but for me it was a old man. And he said, "Come here, show me." So I showed him my contraption, and he started laughing. He said, "You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that." And then he suggested that I buy a book. So that was the first book that I bought with my own money. I think the title was Il Manuale dell'Aeromodellista Moderno, the manual of the modern model builder. And I read it cover to cover, and then my third plane that I designed myself flew, and that was the beginning of an important chapter of my life.
So that episode sparked your interest in technology and in physics, right? And that's why you chose to go to a technical school instead of going to a liceo. Was it that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, well, my interest in airplanes was already there since I was, 4. The first dynamic random access memory, the 1,000 bit. By the way, 1,000 bit in 1970. Now, in your pocket, you can have a flash memory with 256 gigabyte of memory, which is a chip, has 1,000 billion transistors in one chip. 1,000 billion transistors in a chip. And you have it in your pocket for $40. That's the progress, Moore's law, but not doubling every year, doubling every two years, because it's slowed down. And then now they double every 3 years. But that's what has happened in this industry. All using Silicon Gate. They're all all these memories use Silicon Gate.
Yeah, and
Silicon Gate
you
technology.
succeeded in building this computer on a chip.
Mm-hmm.
That was the definition, right?
Yeah, it's a CPU on a chip. Then you can put memory and create a computer on a chip. So, but the key the more difficult element is the CPU. So once it was possible to put a CPU on a chip, then within a few years we could put all the memory. Within quantum systems is the reality of living systems, because we are a coherent aggregation of cells. Our body is coherent aggregation of cells. That's why we have one consciousness made of many sub-cells, sub-consciousnesses, in turn made of many subconsciouses, and so on, all the way down to the quantum fields of matter.
Let's take
take a breath.
Pause.
Take a breath.
Exactly. And go to something
lighter.
Lighter and before
dinner.
No, before
I like this guy.
our friends here can ask you questions. A couple of questions about Italy.
Yeah.
I know that every year you spend some time in Italy. You give lectures at universities. You
to use it responsibly, but by a long shot. And so technology in the hands of some mad people is dangerous, particularly if that technology makes boom, like atomic bombs and so on. We have come with in the Cold War with Russia, we have come a few times close to mutual destruction. So that is something to think about. Type of linkage to create from lower level entities a higher level organization that is conscious as an organization. A stone has only links, internal links in the crystallites and the other elements that are embedded in a stone, but is not conscious as a stone. It doesn't. There is not an entity that has free will and the capacity to act as a stone. Only living systems have one entity that controls the living organism. So internet will be like a crowd of people that are communicating in a square. They are all together, they all communicate, but they all have little groups that communicate with each other, and there is not a overall linkage of all these individuals to create one entity that has one will of its own that can control the entire
What else you got here? Not found. Oh, what the hell is this? That's that miniature alien. Atacama mummy? Now, it is true that when bodies were mummified, their size decreased substantially. DNA sizing showed an average 200 base pairs consistent with a young age of the specimen, likely less than 100 years, leading to normal degradation, not ancient, where DNA size could be as small as 35 to 50 base pairs.
Videos anomalies up in the Oregon forest. And he pointed out to me that Stephen Greer, I'm sure many of you know him, had a specimen at the time that he was interested in understanding, was making certain claims about the provenance of where this thing might have come from. So on a lark, literally, I sent an email to Greer and said, hey, I'd be interested in analyzing the specimen and looking at the DNA of it to determine what it might actually be. I had actually not at the time done the kind of what's called whole genome sequencing that was required to undertake this, but I thought that this would be a great way to do something that you're interested in learning and learn something thereby, not just the technique itself. So I reached out to Stephen. He actually, within about 10 or 15 minutes, I got an email reply back. And then we basically went through a little bit of a negotiation as to what terms would be under which I would analyze this. And one of the things that I promised him, that I would not come at this with a hyper-skeptical way of analyzing or looking at it and not throw it out, not throw out the baby with the bathwater the moment I found something that made it look like it was only human or was not anomalous in any way. And to this day, I'm not going to. So I'm not going to make a pronouncement of what this thing is. I'm going to give you enough data to make your own decisions. So the idea was that we could bring to bear experimental protocols that are acceptable within the realm of traditional mainstream science and make some decisions. They're actually, after having radiologists look at this, saying that actually from here down, this is an absolutely normal human-like bone structure, right? But the skull obviously has some potential problems with it. So this is basically going over what I've already said. I agreed to undertake the study. We will be publishing the final results from the genetic analysis pretty soon. But I'm not a specialist in radiology, right? So the first thing that occurred to me was that I needed to take this to a radiologist who would be able to look at it from a pediatric standpoint, right? Okay. These are some of the genes that you should be looking at first to see whether or not across the group. And then, so many of those variants have no apparent phenotypic effect. They're just carrier gene mutations. Some of them are different. Some of them cause you to have dark hair, blue eyes, susceptibility to armchair pathologists who basically said, oh, well, they just misrepresented. They didn't understand what they were reading. It's a mummy, and therefore, that's why it looks, the ossification looks wrong. It's an aborted fetus, and they don't know what they're talking about. There's nothing that gets a scientist more annoyed than being told that you don't know what you're talking about. And if anything drives your fuel to prove that the other person is wrong, is being told that you're wrong, right? We're as petty as anybody else. And so when we went in, we're validated completely. The mutant genes that were there are involved in bone aplasia, basically incorrect growth. Amazingly, one of the mutations is associated with 11 ribs, right? So the count that...
Anyway, that's out of date. That's 2014. Those are old videos. There's this website here, itcbridge.com, and I used to belong to it. There's a section down here. Talks about Frank's box, the early beginnings of Frank's box. There are some, that's 4 days. There are people still active on here. That was 4 days ago. You can't join this site anymore. But somebody's active. This guy here, Damien, sort of rings a bell. When was this posted? (2016) October 2016. Thanks for the video. Huh. He responded 3 years later. Dude, Lucifer. Oh, I can't view anything because I'm not signed into the site. there's a section down here. ITC experimental results. Technical tower. Software. Spiricom. Where is... Something seems to be missing. This might be a creative corner. Years ago, 10 months ago. That's odd. I'm looking for the Raudive diode. There it is. USB-based Raudive diode. What is the idea? Alright, see now this is incorrect. See, it says right here, radio isn't self-resonant. The coil's self-resonant frequency is 310 kilohertz. Well, I don't know. This might be something that this person's building. I don't know. Raudive's diode receives 300 to 330 kilohertz in theory. That's not true because we've already been through that circuit. And it has a cutoff of 8 kilohertz. So that's why we're looking at this stuff. We're reviewing this. I should do this in another video. I'll be back in a few minutes and then I'll do a Raudive diode video.